On continuation to that previous lecture, so now we are going to see about what is biological neurons. So cell nucleus or soma, the process the information received from the dendrites. So we know how the neurons that has been located in brain. So every component, it seems to be a protein components. So in these protein components we are having several architectural parameters. So in the figure itself you can able to see how one biological neuron is working. So we are having that dendrites. These dendrites is receiving the inputs from various kind of that organs, and each neuron having a cell nucleus. So that is the main part of the real neurons, and we are having that axons. These axons, it's making that certain trigger kind of activity, and it's making that creating that signal and making communication with that other neurons. It is a communication medium transmitting one information from one neuron to that another neuron, and we are having that myelin sheath. So this myelin sheath is doing that important role on generating and making these signals and transfer these components into that other neurons. The synapse is the connection between an axon and the other neuron dendrites. So this is making that important communication parameter that's happening in that actual neurons. So now we have to see how that artificial neurons that has been raised. So the researchers Warren M.C. Kulk and Walter Pitts published their first concept of the simplified brain cell at the year of 1943. This was called McCulloch-Pitts MCP neuron. So they described that nerve cell as a simple logic gate with that binary outputs. So the main artificial neurons activity, it's only based on the concepts of that yes or no. So that is that binary outputs, either 1 or that 0. All these things that can able to implement the purpose of that logic gates. So the multiple signals arrive at the dendrites and are then integrated into the cell body. If the accumulated signal exceeds a certain threshold, an output signal is generated that will be passed on by an axon. So how that artificial neurons that has been accumulated. So now we have to see about the structure of that artificial neurons. So the artificial neurons is the mathematical function based on a model of biological neurons, where each neuron takes a certain inputs and it's having the certain weights, that weights that has been summed up and then passes this sum through a non-linear function to produce that output. So this is the skeleton structure of the artificial neurons. So we are having the several inputs to our neural networks, and there we have to be computed that weights. According to that weights, the output that has been produced. So this is the skeleton structure of the artificial neurons. So now we have to see what are all the characteristics of that artificial neurons. It has the following characteristics. A neuron is a mathematical function modeled on the working of biological neurons. So it is an elementary unit in an artificial neural networks. That means this is the basic steps in artificial neural networks. One or more inputs are separately weighted. So sometimes the inputs that has been varied according to the weights that has been specified. The inputs are summed and passed through a non-linear function to produce that output. So every neuron holds an internal state called the activation signal. So this activation signal, it's making the trigger with that axioms. So each connection link carries information about the information, the input signal. Every neuron is connected to that other neuron via the connection is called link. How that actual dendrites is doing in live neurons, in same way in that artificial neurons we have to establish the connection between the varieties of that neuron cells. So this way the artificial neurons that has been accumulated in these things. So on that next slide, we are going to see about how that biological neurons and artificial neurons that has been integrated. First, we have to see the biological neurons in actual. Now, in neural networks, it has been it has been called as artificial neurons. So the cell nucleus, that is the soma, that has been treated as a node in artificial neural networks. The dendrites are in a real neuron that has been treated as a input for artificial neurons. The synapse that has been treated as the weights or interconnections in actual in implemented neural networks. The axon that has been in real neurons, now in the neural networks that has been treated as a output. On that next, we are going to see about how we are going to train, that is that neural networks. Continually we have to be see on that next video.